us for the first ever Sunscreen Film Festival video podcast. I have a couple of special guests today. With me are Superhero.
You know what to do.
And Artiseroi.
Greetings.
And they are actually real-life superheroes. We'll get to that, and we'll get to that in a minute. You know, this is a summer of superhero movies, as it is almost nearly every summer, with Spider-Man and Batman and the Avengers making such a big splash. I thought that we should have some real-life superheroes talk a little bit about what they do. We've got some good things coming up with the Sunscreen Film Festival I want to throw out there before we get started here. We have a filmmaker workshop with Chris Wyatt, who is one of the producers of Napoleon Dynamite, also a writer on the Avengers animated series on Disney XD, and also a writer on the Ultimate Spider-Man animated series on Disney XD. So he's going to do a 3-day workshop, September 21st, 22nd, and 23rd here in St. Petersburg, Florida. Go to the Sunscreen Film Festival website for more information. So, I guess we might as well get started. First off, like I was saying, real-life superheroes. A lot of people may not know what the hell that is, and why don't you guys tell our audience?
Well, you were saying about the superhero movies. I'm more concerned that they've beaten the Spider-Man franchise to death now, aren't you? I mean, you had 3 movies, and all the way through the 3 movies, there's Dr. Connors missing his arm and everything. I'm Godzilla collector, so I'm waiting to see the Lizard. The Lizard was always my favorite villain. Oh, good, 3 movies. There you go. It's that first movie. I'm working for Dr. Connors. Oh, good, the Lizard's going to be in it. Then the second movie, they actually show Dr. Connors. Get your ass in the class right now and sit down. I'll give you detention. Okay, Doctor, here comes the Lizard. Third movie, still no Lizard. And by the time they beat the whole franchise to death, now they finally got the Lizard in it, and I've got no interest in going to see it because they beat the franchise to death.
So you haven't seen the reboot yet?
No, it beat the darn doom. They beat it to death, and you never got to see the Lizard, and now the Lizard's in it, and by now it's beat to death.
I wasn't really looking forward to the new Spider-Man movie.
No,
just because it's the original, from 2001, isn't that old. I mean, you're right. It's not that long to reboot it, but knowing the way Hollywood works and everything else, I did go see it, and I thought it was going to be not good, and it was, I enjoyed it. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It wasn't as good as the first one, but still not bad, and some good Lizard action in there, so,
See, what I thought was going to happen was they introduced Jameson's son, too.
Yeah.
Remember, he was going to marry Mary Jane in the second one. And then she changed her mind, so I thought by the time you had the third one, you'd have the Man-Wolf and the Lizard having it out like a King Kong versus Godzilla type of thing, and cool. Spider-Man would have just ended up turning the whole thing into a schmoz.
Well,
and that's what I thought would have been the third movie. Now, say, if Thomas Hayden Church carried that third movie, he was awesome. Yeah. He was awesome in that movie.
Yes,
but that's what I wanted to see was my big monsters having it out, and I never got to see it. And then they beat the franchise to death, and like you said, and even all the critics said it didn't bring anything new to it. It didn't bring anything.
They just kind of restarted the whole thing, changed the little things around, did a little stuff that was a little truer to the comics, a little stuff that wasn't. But whatever,
Yeah.
They're going to do what they're going to do.
Yeah.
So, but tell us, what is a real life superhero? What you guys don't have superpowers, do you? You're climbing walls and you probably make your girlfriends climb the walls.
It depends, what you consider superpower.
Right.
What are you benching? But what a real life superhero basically does is try to set a good example in the community and go out and help people by fighting apathy. About a month ago, there was a video in England, UK. A bunch of people shot it. Somebody at a bus stop had a seizure and fell over in about a foot of water. And while they were laying there drowning, what everybody did was pull out their cell phones and videotape it for YouTube and Facebook. A few people called 999, which is like their version of 911. But by the time anybody got there, the guy had drowned. Okay? We live in a society nowadays that's ripe with apathy and self-absorption and stuff like that. And by being a real-life superhero, what you do is you go out and you set an example. You don't be that person. If somebody's at the side of the road, you help them. If a little old lady's crossing the street, you help them. If somebody needs a hand, you help them. And that's basically what a real-life superhero does just with the gimmicks, as we call them, we draw attention to doing that, and hopefully you'll see us doing that and want to do it yourself.
And you do a little bit more than that as well. I mean, you give donations to the homeless. You visit children in the hospital.
We're very heavily into philanthropy now, which is a good thing. Is that's something I did want to bring up. Just like the Sunscreen Film Festival, we're a part of Team Justice. Have you got a business card on you?
I do.
Tony can get a close-up of that later for the...
Let me give you one that's printed properly.
Let me see here. Let's see that monitor right there. Maybe we can get a shot of that. But anyway, at Team Justice, what we do is we're a 501c3 organization, just like the Sunscreen Film Festival is. And we raise funds to usually what we do nowadays is help the other real-life superheroes out there upgrade their gear, or we help families in need, people that have come into hard times and that kind of thing. A lot of the other superheroes out there have been asking us if we can help them if they start a nonprofit organization. And the answer is yes, and we've been doing that for some of the nonprofit organizations, like Hope and, what was the other one we just... I guess it was both Hope that we just turned some...
Yeah, those were both for Hope.
That was both for Hope. But anyways, we've had other organizations like the New York Initiative and some of their branches and stuff ask us about starting a nonprofit agency, which is a step below a 501c3. And having us help them turn their money around that people donate to them. If people can only donate to a 501c3 organization, they can't just give it to a nonprofit. It has to go to a 501c3. So what you do is tell them you're a part of Team Justice with your nonprofit organization, and then we can help you get your funding and that.
And you do it as a grant, basically.
Yeah.
So basically, what it boils down to is you're accepting money into your nonprofit, which then you give out as a grant money to help people, to help to help the homeless, to help families in need, to help these other superhero organizations that are doing the same thing that you're doing.
Exactly.
And like I was saying before, you have a Supermobile, which is what year Corvette is it?
1975.
1975 Corvette, and you go to children's hospitals and a variety of things. Baseball games, and you're doing in the community.
Sunscreen Festival does the same thing. Any 501c3 can help your nonprofit organization with accepting funds and giving them back as a grant and things of that nature.
Check with your accountant before doing anything, of course, though. We're not giving any financial advice here. I want to make that clear.
Absolutely.
You got to do everything within accounting principles and the way that the IRS wants everything done. So be careful about that. So okay, moving on beyond that, the real life superhero movement. There is a documentary on HBO called Superheroes that
it's up for an Emmy this year.
It is up for an Emmy. It premiered at Slam Dance in 2011, was it?
Yeah.
Premiered at Slam Dance 2011. It's won a bunch of film festival awards.
Wait a minute. The premiere was at Comic-Con.
Comic-Con,
because I was there. They had me and a bunch of the other guys that were in the film there for a Q&A after the screening. Right. So I'm pretty sure it was Comic-Con.
Comic-Con, Slam Dance, and it's won awards around the country at film festivals, and it's played, film festivals all over the world, and now it's on HBO, and it's up for an Emmy on HBO as well. So tell me talk a little bit about, since this is a film festival podcast, talk a little bit about that film and, kind of what went into that and what that film's about.
Well, there was a filmmaker named Michael Barnett, great guy. He's working on another project now that what's the name of his new project so we can plug it for him?
Oh.
The one he's doing about the Old West town.
I'm not sure.
I'm sorry, Mike. I'm having a total brain fart, but Michael Barnett's new project, it's about a bunch of people in an Old West town making a film. Look up Michael Barnett, and I think he's got a fund on Kickstarter or something.
Kickstarter?
Is that what it's called?
Possibly. I'm sure if you look up the Superheroes documentary on HBO, you can click on, find his name, and then
There you go. Help Mike out. Great guy. But anyways, what Mike wanted to do was go around the country and find all these different people that were doing the superhero thing and basically show them off, show them doing what they're doing. The opening line in the film is, "Evil triumphs when good men do nothing." And that's an Einstein quote. And then basically the whole film is the variety and different way that all these different people around the country help in their communities as real-life superheroes. So, yeah, if you get a chance to see the film, it's also available on DVD. You can get it on Amazon.com. My copy's still making the rounds in the gym. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it because one guy, "Oh, give me that man," and then it goes to the next guy.
Right, and it's also, if you have HBO, it's on HBO On Demand. And,
HBO Go.
And HBO Go as well. So it's out there for people to see. And we have two of the main characters in the film.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the film, there are obviously people like yourselves who are just kind of going out there doing philanthropic work and setting an example in the in the community on how to help people. But there's a different kind of real life superhero out there as well. There's a group up in New York that we sort of focused on a little bit. Does sort of what you would think a superhero would do, a Batman type of thing.
Yeah, that's the New York Initiative.
Talk a little bit about what that is and what they do.
Yeah, that's the New York Initiative. That's made up of guys like Dead End, Jack Zero, Shortcut, couple of girls like Saf and Circus Girl. They do actually what I think would be considered bait patrols and stuff like that. Well, they'll put a guy out as a homeless person, or they'll put a guy out as a gay prostitute or something like that, and then see if anybody tries to assault them or something like that, and then they come out of the shadows when somebody does. That's been kind of a controversial thing because they're not sure. Well, actually, I think they are sure. If people were concerned whether or not that was entrapment.
Right.
And, but I think they've researched it up, down, left, and right, and they're not legally in any trouble whatsoever for doing that. Or
anything. So,
I even discussed it with the police lieutenant from when I was in California, when I was at the not at the Sunscreen, I'm sorry, but at the Comic-Con.
Right.
And entrapment, no it's not, blah, 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 back and forth and everything like that. And I'm pretty sure that they were covered. They're a smart bunch of boys.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, but what they're doing is they're essentially doing, crime fighting. They go out on the streets, the New York streets, midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning, whatever, and they look for crimes to happen. And then they'll put somebody out there as bait and see if someone does something to try and catch these.
Yeah, officially it's known as security patrols.
Right.
And, a lot of it actually is actual security. Whenever there's an event or something, they will be at the event.
They were big at the Wall Street thing. 99%. Yeah, they were big at that.
The Occupy.
They
were sort of security.
Right.
Like freelance security. They're
I know a couple
of
them, at least one of them, I think a couple of them also does regular event security and party security and things like that, sort of like we did for you when Patrick Wilson was in
you had the superheroes there at the Sunscreen Film Festival.
What's he doing?
He's a busy guy. He just did, him and his brothers did a concert in downtown St. Pete to benefit Paws for Patriots, which is a guide dog organization for wounded veterans. So a very, very worthy cause. We'll throw a shout out there for Paws for Patriots.
Way to go, Pat. Way to go, Paul.
If anybody wants to make a donation to that, they were able to raise quite a bit of money and put on a nice show at the State Theater in St. Pete. So that's last I heard of what he was up to. But he's a busy guy, so I'm sure he's got plenty of things going on.
In case he sees this, I know since I have occasional contact with him, people have asked me, now that there's Watchmen sequels out, the Watchmen comics, if he would come back to be Dan Dreberg again for another Watchmen movie. If they, they're going to make movies out of those. They can't resist the urge.
Yeah, I don't know how much money the Watchmen film made. It did okay.
I know it did really well overseas.
Yeah, I don't know if it did well enough for them to warrant doing sequels. Not sure about that. Not 100% sure. I think DC is trying to sort of do the Marvel model now, and because they want to do their Justice League film, and they've got the Superman reboot coming out. And
but being exposed to that system,
yeah,
what I would see them saying is, "Duh, Batman made a whole lot of money. Duh, well, Night Owl looked just like Batman. Let's make Night Owl. People think he's Batman, and go see the movie, and we make money. Duh." That's what they.
It wouldn't surprise me in the least. I can't predict what they're going to do.
What they would probably do is do the Robert Wise versus Harv Bennett thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like Robert Wise, who also made Day the Earth Stood Still, made the first Star Trek movie in 1979. And he brought it in at $44 million, which at that time was a staggering amount of money. Just ungodly amount of money. Paramount was choking on that when he brought it in. And it didn't have time for a test screening, so the movie plods. It's very slow. Visually, it's beautiful to look at. It blows Star Wars out of the water.
Yeah,
Star Wars was only made for $8 million.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this guy made this movie for $44 million, and it still turned a profit. Then they hired a television producer, Harv Bennett, who was the guy who made the $6 Million Man and everything like that. And Michael Eisner asked him, "Can you make another one of these movies for under $44 million? And he said, "Jesus Christ, I'll give you 6 movies for that." and he brought the second Star Trek movie in for $12 million, under budget, and ahead of time. Because he was a television producer instead of a film producer.
And Ravikant is still by far the best of all.
Right. So that, anyways, long convoluted story to get to the point. They might do the same thing with another Watchmen film.
Yeah, it's
just to get Pat back into the suit, because Pat was so good as Dan Drever.
Yeah, what's interesting is because Warner Brothers owns DC, and they're the ones that kind of control and do everything. And they're so focused on studios nowadays. They're so focused on the big tentpole movie, tentpole summer movie. They think we have to spend $200 million, to make some movie. But Watchmen was a little different, because I think that was more in the somewhere from 60 to 85 range, and it was a spring release, similar to what they did for 300, because obviously the same, Zack Snyder, same director as 300. So you can never predict what they're going to do. I mean, who knows? It's a toss up. It's you look at something like John Carter that was out.
How was that?
It was awesome.
Really?
It was possibly the worst marketing job by a studio in the history of filmmaking.
They should have fired every one of their advertisers.
They did.
They really should.
They did. That movie.
Whoa.
That movie crushed a bunch of people, basically. Well, they spent something like $250 million making the film, and then all the advertisements were John Carter, guy in a loincloth fighting a big furry ape, and that's all you saw. Was him jumping around fighting this big furry ape.
Here come the Wampa!
They didn't tell you that this is a Civil War veteran who gets transported across space and time to another planet, and kind of tell you what they didn't tell you what the story was. So
put the ape in the commercial.
Right,
He's big.
Right. People see it and they see the action and they're like, I don't even know what that is. I don't know. Why would you want to go see it when you don't know what it is? People don't know that John Carter was written by Edgar Rice Burroughs. It was a series of novels around the turn of the 20th century. The same guy who created Tarzan.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Tell people that.
Also,
tell somebody that.
From the creator of Tarzan.
Right.
Isn't he the one also that owned the Death Porsche?
See, He-Man was based on John Carter. So if you like He-Man, hey,
right,
it came from John Carter. If you like the original Superman, jump over the tall buildings and stuff, really strong guy from another planet, came from John Carter.
No kidding.
Yeah. So
because in he has light gravity and being able to leap and do all these physical things, because the gravity of Mars is so much less than Earth, so he's a superhuman person when he's
really
on Mars.
Strong.
That's right. Originally, Superman didn't fly.
He did not fly.
Leap over really tall buildings in a single bound. So.
Because he was from a heavy gravity planet.
Right.
And he was
that's
and
right.
then the other
started Superman.
The other
thing from.
The other thing about, of course, it was supposed to be John Carter of Mars, but they refused to use Mars in the title because Hollywood has this strange belief that when Mars is in the title, it makes the movie bomb. You shouldn't do movies about Mars because they bomb. Because every other movie that they've done with Mars in the title has bombed the box office.
They never said Mars once in that Tom Cruise War of the Worlds.
Right.
Yep.
They never did. I was waiting for him to say Mars. Even Morgan Freeman, they didn't say Mars.
And now, of course, the exception to that belief is Total Recall with Arnold
Schwarzenegger.
Blue
Mars.
Blue Mars, which was awesome. And now the remake comes out in a couple of weeks, which trailer doesn't look bad for that. Doesn't look too bad. I don't know if they're going to mention Mars in the film at all because Mars.
Why is that? Why don't they like Mars?
Rattle off a list of Mars movies over the last 10 years, and they've all bombed. Anything with Mars in the title. So they have this thing in their heads that Mars is why people don't go to see the movie.
Yeah.
No,
it's not that it's set.
You're right.
The
reason that people don't go see the movies is because they're bad movies.
Yeah.
Not because Mars is in the title.
Right.
So, anyways, that's a little...
Well, they had originally changed John Carter because it was originally it's the Princess of Mars.
Yes.
Right? And they didn't want to put Princess in it because they thought guys would see a Disney movie.
There's no Princess.
Exactly. So
go see that with your girlfriend.
So they basically, what they did is they overthought themselves to pissing away $250 million. So, the film actually did okay overseas.
It's a good film.
A lot of things do well in the international market.
That's the way it is nowadays. 65% to 70% of your film revenues are going to come from the international market. So if you're going to make a movie, it has to be able to play overseas.
Remember the Dean Devlin Godzilla movie?
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it made its most money in Japan.
Well, there's another Godzilla.
It did, wasn't it? It did really well in the international market, yeah.
There's another Godzilla film in the works right now.
As a matter of fact, they just aired some of the footage from it at Comic-Con.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen a bootleg of it yet or anything like that.
Good. Well, while we're talking about movies and while we're talking about Godzilla and things like that, I have something for you. Right back. This was left... Hold on.
What you doing, Piggy? You guarding us? There's a vicious attack dog down here guarding us.
He's about this big.
Yep. And about this old. What's it doing, Piggy? Oh, over there, Gappa. I already put it with my stuff.
No wonder.
Sabotage.
This is a film that Dale can tell you a little bit about. That oddly enough, you don't own. Since, Superhero. I'm sorry, I just revealed his actual
That's because it's a rare one. Gappa wasn't made by the same people who made Godzilla. Godzilla was made by Toho. Gappa was made by, if I remember correctly, a company called Naikatsu, which usually specialized in porn. Which, in Japan, it's a different ball game. Over porn. Oh god, porn. Over there, it's like they go to Blockbuster. Yeah, I'll take that. And I'll take some porn.
Well, and the advertisements have naked people in them. Same thing in Europe. You got naked people in your advertisements.
So their porn is a huge thing over there, and this company decided they wanted to get in on some of the giant rubbery monster money, and they made a film about it where the monster is big and they're fighting with the monster, and then all of a sudden his parents show up and they're like 4 times the size that he is, and then they're in real trouble. But that's what Gappa basically was. It's interesting because, like I said, over there it's a whole different ball game. Oh, a porn company made it. Over here, a porn company made Larry Flint's Godzilla. For some reason that wouldn't go over.
I'd like to see Larry Flint's version of Godzilla.
Me too. That would probably sell really well.
Yeah, but people over here be like, oh my god, Larry Flint Godzilla. That kind of thing. Whereas in Japan, it was no big deal. The guy that played Godzilla in the 80s and 90s, Ken Satsuma, was a samurai porn star. No, he's a total badass. He owns a dojo, he's a black belt and everything. He's great with sword kata and everything like that, and it came through in his portrayal of Godzilla. You'd see the way Godzilla would move, and of course in the 90s, mostly what the monsters did would stand around and shoot beams at each other and everything. But when he would grapple and stuff, you'd see the influence in there. But he was in the films where he'd come out, some other guy would come out in the street, and they're, I'm better than you, boom, and they'd, one shot draw, and like an old Western almost, and he'd kill him, and they go, eee, and then the chicks all went, oh, Ken, and that's what the movies were like. They just have a completely different view of that kind of stuff.
So in the keywords for this this video that we'll put up on YouTube after this live broadcast, samurai porn star definitely needs to be in the keywords.
Yeah,
so that
samurai porn star. That'll get you some hits.
People know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
So yeah, in addition to being a Godzilla and monster film expert like that,
I would say expert.
Well,
I
would call you an expert. You don't have a degree in Godzilla, but if there was such a thing as a degree in Godzilla, you would have a PhD in Godzilla.
It'd be called Daikaijuology.
You would have a PhD in Godzilla. But so to go
rate that for you.
To go on a little bit more serious note for a moment, you guys have been getting some interview requests to talk a little bit about what happened in Colorado with the rampage shooting out there.
Yeah.
And again, I prefaced it by saying you were sort of a Godzilla PhD, but sort of unofficially you have a wide knowledge of that type of shooter from Columbine and other things that you've actually studied over the years. And
well, I'm a police academy graduate, and the human mind fascinates me a lot. To be honest, I'm sure a lot of guys, want to know why they're superheroes. Even like guys that do what we do want to go out, and it's just your experiences and that kind of thing make up what you are. So yeah, studying that kind of thing is like some people study serial killers. I know a little bit about rampage killings and school shootings and things like that.
Right. I think again, like you said, you are a police academy graduate, so you do have some knowledge and experience of that sort of thing in addition to studying it yourself. So again, like I said, to go on a little more serious note, we're talking about superheroes, and this guy supposedly was calling himself the Joker, and Batman
dyed his hair red. Is that accurate? I mean, we're still so sketchy on all.
Yeah, we don't have all the details yet, but
they seem to be in flux. Also, we're getting one detail one day, and it's changed the next day.
Yeah. Well, at first they said the guy had on body armor, and see, also I'm a concealed carrier, superhero don't carry no gun. Baloney. Superhero doesn't matter. Okay, someone's going to shoot you, they're going to shoot you. If you're in a state where you can legally carry a firearm and you're going to put yourself in harm's way, that's what you need to be doing. Okay? But at any rate, there was he had on body armor. So if a concealed carrier was in the theater, it wouldn't have made any difference. Well, now it turns out he didn't have body armor on.
Interesting.
He had on what's called a tack vest, which is basically just a vest to put magazines in for your rifle or whatever.
Yeah, because the news reports were that he was wearing head to toe body armor, helmet, goggles, gas mask, vest, groin protection, pant, the whole he was a walking.
And now they're getting away from that. First of all, how would you know he had red hair if he had a Kevlar helmet on?
Right, exactly.
And second of all, now they've gone from full body armor down to a tack vest.
Well, it's gonna take some time, I think, for all the details to come out, and I'm sure there are things that the police are releasing and not releasing as far as information goes
because they need it in court,
trying to spin the story in whatever way they want to. As well,
stuff that if they release it won't be admissible in court. That kind of thing. But I think it's important to point out that they were all there seeing Batman, but of course the people that showed up to help them were the real superheroes, and that was law enforcement.
Right.
So the police arrived and did what they could, even though it was a little after the fact. There's no way they could have been there in the blink of an eye. And it's just an extreme tragedy that, I hate to say it, like I've always wondered about that in a movie theater or something like that, especially post 9/11 era. If, I thought, geez, maybe I'm being a paranoid maniac or something, thinking somebody might come into a movie theater and shoot up the place, but not anymore.
Well, what's interesting is there is a film that they pulled the trailer on right now called Gangster Squad, and in that film there is a shootout in a movie theater, and that was that trailer was going to start playing now, and basically they pulled that because obviously what happened, they don't want people to freak out or whatever essentially, but
I'm just laughing at the dog.
It's a very tired small dog passing out on the floor.
Yeah.
But kind of talking about that a little further, it's interesting. You always see anytime something like this were to happen. He was such a nice, quiet young man.
Well, that's led a lot to. One thing you talk to a lot in the superhero community is what's more commonly known as a foil hatter. You always get the guy that there's chemtrails in the contrail from the airline, and there's a secret road between Israel and China, and there's mind control drugs and the Tylenol, and there's
they wear their tinfoil hats.
Right.
So
immediately they're going on. There's no way that this guy could have shot all those people because he was quiet and he was withdrawn, and his neighbors said how nice he was and everything like that. And this is all a big conspiracy because next week Obama's supposed to sign some UN arms deal or something like that. And I had to go on to my Facebook and say, that's what they always say. They're always quiet. They always keep to themselves. They always, they were so nice. That kind of thing. That's the pattern. There's no conspiracy theory going on here. The reptilians didn't hand him the rifle and the tack vest and say, go get tack. It didn't happen.
And they're typically white males.
Yeah, in there. But he's a little younger.
He's a little younger.
He's a little younger than the average, and they're almost always on some kind of antidepressive medication, whether they're school shooters or adults.
Right.
But yeah, he's a little younger than the profile. But no, there's no conspiracy theory, and the reptilians from Mars didn't give him the rifle and say go in there and shoot a bunch of people.
Yeah.
It's just a tragedy, and that's what it is. It boils down to a tragedy, and feel sorry for the people that it happened to, and give to the charities or whatever that have been set up to help those people. That's about it, cut and dried.
So, I guess we'll move on from such a depressing line of talk. There'll be a lot more information coming out about that in the weeks and months to come as everything progresses. Because obviously most people want to know why. Why would somebody do this? Why would somebody do this?
The thing is, they never have an answer.
And
they never have an answer. They never have an answer. Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold talked a lot about how they were going to do it.
From Columbine.
But very little about why.
Right.
Very little about why. They very seldomly give any type of reason or anything like that. The guy obviously didn't know what he was talking about. I'm going to dye my hair red, now I'm the Joker.
Yeah.
He didn't know what he was talking about. Everyone knows the Joker's hair is green.
Right.
I'm sure he probably just did that to garner more media attention. It's a sad thing. While we're talking about movies and everything like that, Jim Morrison said, I want to say it was in the late 60s when he said it. He said, in order to be really famous in this country, you have to be an assassin or something like that. You don't, that's really how people get their 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
As morbid and grotesque as that sounds, that's how they do it.
Yeah.
And I think he did the whole Joker thing. This is just my speculation, but I think he picked the movie theater because it was a target-rich environment. And then he decided, well, I'll dye my hair and say I'm the Joker to garner that much more fame. They've already hung an esoteric name on him. They call him the Batman shooter.
Right.
See, he knew more fame, and that's really what the bottom line of what they do is.
Yeah, and so, people, again, everybody wants to know why. Sometimes there is no. And it's hard for people to wrap their heads around that.
Well, that's why the conspiracy guys get their fangs into it and everything like that, and it's not really their fault. They just want closure.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And so all you can do is try and support the families and the friends and everybody in this time of need. Support the charities that are have been set up to to help these people out and be vigilant in the future.
Be vigilant. That's a good way to be. Is be vigilant. That's another thing the real life superhero community preaches: is be vigilant. Be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of what's going on. Don't be texting and walk into a fountain.
Right.
Be aware of what, and then get on the media and say there shouldn't have been a fountain there while you stand all wet and drippy and everything like that. Be aware of what's going on around you.
Now, you guys do a lot of stuff in the community. What have you got coming up soon? I know last night, unfortunately, Superheroes Night at the Dunedin Blue Jays Stadium that happens every year was rained out.
Baseball bats floating down the street and everything like that. That's why
it was pretty bad.
Yeah. I got some footage. Somebody had brought in a remake of the Bluesmobile.
Oh, yeah?
Which was, I don't know if you noticed, but the Ghostbuster that built the thing was a dead ringer for John Belushi.
Wasn't he? Oh,
yeah, was he? You know that too? I didn't want to say anything to him, because in case he goes, hey man, you look like John Belushi. F you, man! I hear that all the goddamn time! You know, I didn't want anybody to look just like John Belushi.
Yeah.
And he had built this beautiful replica of the Bluesmobile, only he couldn't get the original car, so he used a retired Crown Vic.
Right.
He got a retired police car. I'll give him credit where credit's due. And he had done a beautiful job. The speaker was all made out of fiberglass on top of it,
wow.
and he had it roped on there like they did and everything. He done a beautiful job of it.
Packs of cigarettes laying on the dashboard. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if that was prop or not.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Are they going to reschedule Heroes Night then, since you guys got rained out?
That's a darn good question.
Probably
I don't
not.
have a good answer.
Probably not. They called the game and you know.
Right. They started the game. They called it moving on.
I used to
whoever's
work
ahead
on the
whenever
Rays
it's
games,
rained out.
and I know they hate to do that too
Yeah.
because those
Yeah.
guys play on such a tight schedule.
Yeah.
The only people I think that play more than a baseball player is a hockey player and a professional wrestler. Are the only two people that work more days a year than a baseball player.
A lot of days in the season, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's next? What do you guys got coming up next? Any other events or any other things you have planned as far as visiting whoever, doing whatever for?
Well, right now, well, you were talking about Superheroes, the film, the other day, or not the other day, a couple minutes ago. The other day, there's a guy in that film called Mr. Extreme who has basically sacrificed his entire life to be a real live superhero. You've seen the film, so you know.
Mm-hmm.
The guy...
He's the one in San Diego?
Yeah, he moved into his car, a van.
Right.
He lived out of his van in order to be a superhero. And his gear has come into a state of disrepair. This guy helped catch a villain called the Chula Vista Groper.
Yeah.
This guy is extremely active in his community. He's not a poser. He's really out there helping people. He does it the right way.
Didn't he get accommodation from
Yes,
the mayor too?
I think it was from the sheriff's office, I think.
So, I mean, really stopping criminals. Good
Right,
guy.
really stopping criminals. This guy, living out of his van. I don't know if he still lives out of his van or not, but you'll see in some footage on YouTube, when I met the guy, I actually got choked up. I got him an extra round of applause after the screening of the film, because he had sacrificed everything to do this. But anyway, I would like Team Justice to upgrade his gear for him. Like, not give him, War Machine or anything with a freaking mini. I'm Mr. Extreme. Oh, the minigun went off. I'm sorry. Just, get him a new, level 3 vest, a new helmet, a new set of goggles. Something like that. So what Team Justice is trying to do now is raise the funds in order to help Mr. Extreme update his rig. If anybody watching this would like to donate to Mr. Extreme and help him update his rig, what's the information for that? Where do they go?
Go to teamjusticecharity.org.
teamjusticecharity.org and help us update Mr. Extreme's rig. That's what we've got going on right now.
TeamJusticeCharity.org. And then as the holidays get closer, you guys have an annual thing that you do every year. We'll talk about that a little bit.
Well, for a while there, what we were doing is helping the Great Lakes Heroes Guild at a women's shelter.
Mm-hmm.
We would have a Christmas party, and whereas like most people have like tickets and admission, our tickets and admission would be a bag of diapers or a wrapped brand new toy, whatever you wanted to bring, and then we would take all this to the women's shelter.
Right.
But the Great Lakes Heroes Guild doesn't take part in that anymore, so we're not exactly sure how to go about doing that without their assistance.
Sure. So are you looking for a new charity maybe this year?
Yeah. If somebody seeing this would like to recommend something for us to get involved in, or if you know of a family or an organization that really helps out at the holidays and would like Team Justice to help with that, by all means, contact us again. They can also contact us at that
Yes, they can.
at teamjusticecharity.org.
Teamjusticecharity.org.
Yeah, contact us there, and we'll be happy to hear your story and hopefully help you out.
Great. All right, well, I think we're getting close to wrapping up here. We're going in about 40 minutes. We don't want to bore people too much. But this video, it's live streaming now, but it will be available on YouTube shortly. So we'll have it up on YouTube so people can share it and post it around if anybody wants to watch it again or send it off to your friends or whatever. And again, this is the first Sunscreen Film Festival video podcast that we've done. There's going to be more, and we'll have more guests, more discussions, more updates on things going on in the film world and film festivals.
I want to plug one more thing
Sure.
before we get out of here. While we're talking about Sunscreen Film Festival and the Spider-Man movie and the Batman movie and everything like that. The best superhero movie that I saw this year, of all the ones that I've seen, was a film called Who's Delson? And I saw it at the Sunscreen Film Festival. It's an independent film made for only $1 million, which in today's day and age of the $500 million movie is nothing. And it blew every other superhero movie that I've seen this year out of the water. And the reason that you do get to see it is because of organizations like the Sunscreen Film Festival. So also, while we're talking about Team Justice and everything, make sure you attend, see, help out, donate, volunteer to help the Sunscreen Film Festival so you can continue to see really good films as well as just mass-produced Hollywood movie where you get the Spider-Man movie, the Spider-Man taco, the Spider-Man limited edition SUV.
Yeah, and the Who Is Delson film is actually made in the Tampa Bay area.
Yeah.
It's a local film made by local filmmakers. I think you can probably find it on IMDb. Maybe find some other screening information about it out there.
It's on the circuit now.
It's probably out on the festival circuit now. Don't know about distribution yet, but hopefully something coming. And with the film festival, just a little more information. We do nearly more educational programming than any other festival in the country. We just wrapped up on Friday night. We had the graduation for our summer film camp where kids make short films over the course of 2 weeks. We have the
anything good? They really
they were good. They were good. I'll make sure you get to see them. I think we're going to have those posted up on our website, and those films will actually be at the 8th annual Sunscreen Film Festival coming up next April 18th to the 22nd, I believe.
Sweet.
We have the Chris Wyatt workshop coming up in September 21st to the 23rd. Chris Wyatt from Napoleon Dynamite, writer on Avengers animated series and Ultimate Spider-Man animated series, working on a screenwriters workshop for the fall as well, bringing in some screenwriters or some literary managers from Los Angeles. So if you are a screenwriter, no better opportunity than the high-level talent that we bring in. We'll also be doing an actors workshop. Don't know who yet, but we'll be having a good name actor come in and do a workshop, and a variety of other things that we're working on as we do more and more educational programming throughout the year, providing that service for the community. So thank you very much for watching this very first podcast. We're going to try and do one every week now, and we will be posting to Facebook and putting on our website and getting all that information out there for anybody that wants to continue to see our podcast. If you have any suggestions and anything you would like to see us talk about, any questions or comments, you can email info@sunscreenfilmfestival.com, and our website is sunscreenfilmfestival.com.
Right there.
Yes. So soon we'll have a producer running behind the scenes that can start putting graphics up and stuff for us as we progress and move forward with our podcast. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it.